But don't be ashamed if you get confused when you talk to your friends or you watch the news. They try to tell you where it all went wrong. Now you don't need to argue, just sing this song. It was rich people stacking the deck, rich people with big fat checks, rich people, they're having a ball, rich people been us all.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Eat the Rich. I am Emily Walsh, and I'm here with my co-host and husband, Danny Moss.
What's up?
What's up? What is up? It is 10 p.m.
Post 4th of July.
Post 4th of July.
Yeah.
Getting back into it.
Yeah. It's not Monday.
It is Thursday.
Thursday.
Just did a show.
Yeah.
First time I think we've done this in a long time where I've come home from a show and then we've said, let's make a podcast.
Let's go.
Baby.
It was a good show, though.
In another state.
Whoa.
Yeah. Coffee talk.
Yeah.
Didn't finish my first cup because our child.
I finished it for you, though.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've had 2 coffees, kind of.
Great. I had half of that first one, and then I went into a scream haze.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
our child is getting the biggest tooth anyone's ever had.
Well, she's doing like 7 teeth.
She's literally growing 4 molars in the moment because she's an overachiever.
She is the moment.
I was in the green room at the show, and I was like, the annoying thing about parenting is that all the cliches about parenting are true.
Yeah,
and as a
that's
comedian, it's very frustrating.
Really yeah.
But one of them is like, if I could take their pain, I would take their pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would literally let you shoot me in the leg with a gun if she had all her teeth now.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand by that. Like, if she could be done teething, you could get 1 gunshot wound.
1 gunshot wound. Bone?
Not kneecap.
Okay.
Bone, yes, not kneecap.
Got it. Okay, great.
And I stand by that.
Yeah.
Teething is terrible.
It's real bad.
But so back to coffee talk. I did not finish that first one. And then I just survived on adrenaline and screams. And then I have this tiny Diet Coke.
I was just going to
stole
say,
from the comedy club.
You know, as long as our gunshot wounds aren't at the same time, I would take a gunshot wound in the leg if I didn't have to help her take her loose teeth out when she starts getting adult teeth.
Oh, why would you bring that up? And also, we're going to drive her to Jim and Sarah's house every time.
That's why John
Sarah,
is.
pull this tooth out.
Sarah, you like doctor stuff?
She's going to do it.
Yeah.
She doesn't know
That's
yet.
going to be great.
She's going to do it.
She might know now.
She might.
Hey, Sarah.
Let us know if you listen.
Shout out to Sarah.
But that is baby beverage talk.
Yeah, we're caught up.
Let's do it. We're in a new series. Welcome, new listeners. We
Hope
are
everybody had a good hot dog day.
talking about a bummer. These people in this story, not a hot dog to be found.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
We're getting into kind of a big one as far as like poor and sad versus rich and mean.
Yeah. I'm excited to learn about this one because I know some of the things that you told me about already.
Yeah.
And I have general like zeitgeist knowledge.
Yeah.
But
So if you haven't read the title, if you're one of those people, going in blind, we're
Sure.
talking Irish potato famine.
Potatoes.
The potato. The tuber.
Are we going to get into like what is a potato?
Maybe a little.
All right, hell yeah.
Spoilies. Gosh. So the main source for this series is a book called The Graves Are Walking.
Ooh, spooky.
The Great Famine and the Saga of the Irish People by John Kelly. And it is a very good book, but I will say the audiobook, for better or for worse, the person reading it has an Irish brogue. And it is very hard to read on a quicker speed. And it is very hard for me personally to listen to if I'm doing anything else. So I've had to read most of it with my eyeballs.
Yeah. Which don't get this fact twisted. Emily is a fast reader.
But
it
it's a lot.
It is
it's
nice
a
to listen to a book.
Yeah. I like to be able to do both for the pod. I like to be able to listen and check back in, whatever. But regardless, just for people, if they were like, wow, this book sounds really good, and this 6th grader's book report on it is only fine, then just be ready for the accent.
Good 6th grader's book report is a good bar for us, I think.
That's where I'm
pretty
at.
Good, yeah.
I've summarized it. I've added my own little twists, and most of the grammar is okay.
Yeah, and we're doing a live presentation on it, and,
I'll make a
book.
trifold poster board.
Yeah.
I'm fucking good at those, if anyone wouldn't believe that.
For the other wings of the museum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's go. And to all of this I say, what a fucking bummer. This is a bummer. This, it's just, I don't even know. It's just hard. It's just
Potatoes have eyes, and those eyes
They're
are weeping.
so hungry already. Like this is like, it's so, oh God. Okay.
Yeah, and I just, again, like my general,
Tell me what you remember.
The knowledge
you know.
that I have, just general knowledge, and the I think probably general opinion on what's, you hear about the potato famine, and you're like, oh, famines, that's tough. That must be really hard that there were no potatoes. But from the little talks that we had, like basically it felt like a kind of natural disaster / like agricultural mishap, like oops-a-daisy. But it sounds like it's pretty purposeful and a little genocide-y.
So it's not purposeful.
Oh,
It
okay.
is a blight.
Okay.
But it is managed in a really horrible way, and basically the like punchline and thesis and end note of the English is, if we help them, how will they help themselves? But at the point at which the potato fails, there are families subsisting on only their potatoes.
Wow.
And on
okay.
a good day, they get to butter that potato.
Okay.
So
not
it
a lot of
is-
nutrients going into
It
that
is
family.
a dire situation, and to lose the one thing that you have,
Yeah.
and then for people to be like, well, if you were really hungry, you'd figure it out, is rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
We'll get into it. I don't want to do a whole lot of proselytizing up top, but I am going to kick us off with one of the worst quotes I've ever read in my life.
Ooh.
Because this book starts with maybe one of the most upsetting sentences I've ever read.
Okay.
And I can't paraphrase it, so I'm just going to read it verbatim.
Yeah. Bring it at me.
Here we go. And for context, before we start, the potato famine begins in the year 1845.
1845. What else was happening in 1845?
The Civil War. No, that was 1865. I don't know what was happening.
Yeah, but still closer to the Civil War than I think I realized.
Not, yeah.
Yeah. It's because it's the parallels into like what's happening over here.
Sure.
It's just kind of nuts. It's kind of like the idea that Abraham Lincoln was alive during a lot of other like famous
Yes,
people's lives
yeah.
that we think of as like way older.
Yeah, these things are not that far away. I mean, this is 1845. My grandparents were born in 1917 and 1919, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
So they're one generation, 2 generations away from this.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Sure. Maybe
Get
we
ready.
should look into the Dust Bowl at some point.
Oh, the Dust Bowl is rough. But nobody really causes the Dust Bowl other than like not doing crop rotation.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm wondering is if there is a similar like unseen hand that had something to do with
The
with this
Worst
problem.
Hard Time is a great book about the Dust Bowl.
I think I've read that book. Is it Timothy Egan?
It is. I probably recommended it to you.
You did. Absolutely. You did. Yeah.
Patting my own back. All
Okay.
right. You ready for a very
let's do
you
this
ready to be
upsetting quote.
upset?
Yeah, let me take a little swig here. We should be eating French fries during this. Would that be offensive?
I think it might be. It would be offensive if we didn't finish them.
Right. We will finish them.
On a January morning in 1847, a carriage halted in front of a cabin outside Skibbereen, a market town in southwest Cork. The driver picked up the box on the carriage seat and handed it to the cabin owner, a small farmer who had come out to greet him. "My dog brought it home last night," the driver said apologetically. After he left, the farmer removed the mutilated head from the box, took it into the cabin, and wrapped it in a cloth. Tomorrow, he would return his wife's decapitated head to her grave. The potato famine started in 1845, and by 1847, packs of feral dogs were digging up the shallow graves of the dead.
Okay.
That is the level of hunger
Yeah.
we're at.
Yeah.
Poor shoeless women were holding their dead babies on street corners begging for food. Men and women were scaling cliffs in order to eat seagull eggs or combing seaweed out of the ocean. The weekly death rate in Ireland was in the thousands, and people were fleeing in a way that was beyond reckless, with men abandoning their families. And now all that anyone who had stuck around for could hope for was an undisturbed grave.
Oof.
So that...
Yeah, that's haunting. That's super haunting. It's real dark. And that guy, the chagrin on that in that guy's, he's like, I'm so sorry that I have this, and this is yours.
Well, that's the thing, is that he was sorry.
Yeah.
It just ended up on his property, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But it's like the idea that your loved one was disturbed because of the hunger of a creature.
Right. And probably died because of the
Same hunger.
Same hunger.
It's rough. It's rough. And we're gonna light it up. We're gonna get into some facts, but I had to start haunting.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get
just
point
get
across
the
that
just
this
get me
is
on the right
awful.
page. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't want you to accidentally be like, well, why didn't they eat grass? Because they tried.
Yes.
They tried.
Yeah.
So the famine would be called an event with something of the characteristics of a low-level nuclear attack.
Whoa.
And between the years of 1845...
As in like death rate? Like the amount of people that died?
In between 1845 and 1855, which is 10 years,
Sure.
the Irish population went from 8.2 million and it dropped by a third.
Wow.
1.1 million died of starvation and disease, and another 2 million just left the country.
And everybody was just like, I guess it sucks to be Irish. Like, what the hell?
Kind of, yeah. There were not as many deaths during this famine as other famines the world has endured. I certainly don't want to paint this picture that this is the only famine. There have been worse ones in China and the Soviet Union and all over the world. But the unique thing about this one, because of so many people that left, is that in 10 years, 1 out of every 3 people in the country was gone.
Yeah.
So that's a real look to your left, look to your right. One of you won't be here in 10 years situation.
Huh.
Part of it was bad luck. 2 generations earlier, the country had a much smaller potato dependency. But by now, almost 2/3 of the country relied on the potato, and there was no real way to deal with the loss. There weren't even enough food stores. If people had the money, they didn't have the mills to process other foods like rice and corn and cheap things. And they didn't have enough infrastructure to deal with the pestilence and not enough administration to do any kind of nationwide relief. So they just were in absolutely no way set up for this.
Yeah.
But British policy was also to blame. Ireland was importing more than it was exporting for most of the time, with the exception of a year or so. Which used to be the old claim that was the issue. The real issue was that the British used this moment to overhaul Ireland's agricultural economy and to, quote, try to improve the Irish character and reduce its government dependence. They made them surrender their 2 to 3 meager acres of land to qualify for any relief. And then Parliament said that this relief would have to make them self-sufficient. So basically, like, here it is, and if you can't do it...
Wait, so they had to give up their land...
But then be self-sufficient,
and then
which is impossible.
Yeah.
Basically, so
this,
we're going to...
This very much smacks of the, like, you know, the part of eugenics where everybody is like, oh, you're poor because of bad genes.
Bootstrapping. You need to bootstrap.
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff. But we are going to get into it. But basically, the UK... The Irish operated on a barter system. They operated on the farming their own land and breaking down via like one main farmer and smaller ones. And the UK wanted them to pay for things with money. They were done. They didn't want them to have the barter system. So they basically made them give up anything they did have in order to get any kind of relief. And if the relief was monetary, there was still no place to buy food because they didn't have grocery stores like other places did, because that's just not how they did things. But they wanted them to be a version of the UK and eliminate any kind of history or system. And because they had an extreme upper hand, that's what they did.
Yeah, and didn't see any of the unseen ramifications ahead of time.
They didn't have to. It's an island. They just don't go over there. So the Poor Law Extension Act would claim a 222.5% increase in tax revenue, and coffin makers' numbers went up 187.6%.
Ooh, boy.
The author of this book also goes far to explain that in the past the Brits were depicted as purposeful monsters in this famine, but it seems like they were a lot more like well-intentioned idiots, which is almost more depressing, and that they let their politics and religion and the goal of trying to teach a lesson that whole idea got the better of them, and several million people lost out for it.
Still, Like, that's the thing. It seems very much like they could have solved it fairly easily.
Oh, and that's all we're gonna do is talk about the ways that they maybe could have solved it and the ways that didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe try this? Oh, we don't
Also-
want to. Maybe try this? Oh, we're bad at it.
So do you know when was Ireland initially independent from the UK, and when did that switch happen? Or like why this moment did the UK try to assert more dominance over their culture?
Just because they've been waiting to.
Oh, okay.
This is just a moment to pounce.
Got it.
It's kind of hard to sum up in a
Yeah, sure. We'll get into it.
yeah. Okay. So, by September of 1845, a mysterious potato disease was in Flanders, and by August, the Channel Islands and England had been infected, and now there were rumors that it was spreading to Ireland. And at this moment, 2/3 of the country lives by an arguably unimpressive phrase:
Okay.
potatoes in the morning, potatoes at night, and if I got up at midnight, it would still be potatoes.
Okay. Sure.
So that's the vibe.
So it does kind of feel like the British might have exported the potato famine to them. The blight, at least. It feels like it came from probably the UK.
Maybe, but it hits a lot of places.
Okay,
So
all right.
that is
Yeah.
nobody.
Well, and I'm assuming. I wonder when they. I wonder if they always had a monoculture with the potatoes, because if they
didn't.
Yeah, if they were growing different types of potatoes, it wouldn't have
didn't.
been as dire.
This 2 generations earlier, that was not this way.
Okay.
So Mr. Thomas Campbell Foster had gone to Ireland and was sent by the Times of London to try to answer the question of why Ireland was getting poorer and poorer and more disorderly while England was prospering. And they had already had 114 government commissions, 61 special committees, and 50 years of study into this concept.
Couldn't it just be that England is a bunch of fucking colonizers and they've been robbing poor cultures
That's
all over the world
answer.
for,
you don't
for
need to
centuries?
Make committees. But so far, Foster had just ridden his horse around thinking about how sad the countryside looked. And so far, so many travel writers and other Europeans would visit Ireland and poke around and say that it was pitiful. The Scot Carlyle came home and said, "The earth disowns it. Heaven is against it. Ireland should be burnt in a black, unpeopled field rather than it should last."
Wow.
Yeah, it's rough.
I hear Ireland is lovely.
That's what I hear. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
Between 1745 and 1800, before this, they had doubled the population to 5 million, and again from 1800 to 1845 to 8.2 million. So that's the population at the beginning of the famine.
Okay.
They had made a lot of money during the French wars, providing supplies to the British, and in the early 1800s, an Irish farmer could do about as well as his English counterpart. He could have a 2-story stone house. His wife and children could wear imported clothes. They had a cupboard full of tea and tobacco. They could afford to supplement their potato with things like buttermilk, meat, or fish. So a pretty rounded diet. You might say Napoleon was the best friend they had ever had. But by the 1820s, their need for the Irish goods weakened. The French weren't buying them from them anymore. Tariffs also ended so that cheaper goods were coming in, and thousands of people lost their jobs. Or if they kept their jobs, their wages fell extremely. A weaver in 1800 could make between 14 and 21 shillings a week, and a generation later, they earned a quarter to a half of what their father had.
Wow.
By 1821 to 1841, they had also lost of all of other industry, their manufacturing force having gone down from 43% of the workforce to 28%. Rent was rising, and they did stabilize in 1845, but it was kind of too hard, and it was kind of too hard to like overcome that.
Yeah.
And the Irish were having trouble trying to plant on mountainsides and sandy soil because basically like a lot of them were like, okay, well, I'll just go try to make my own farm. But a lot of the land wasn't hospitable to that.
Yeah.
So now it went from all these people being like what they would call 4-acre farmers. So people who had roughly 4 acres, not a very complicated nickname.
Sure.
Having to sublet 2 of their acres. And then the person subletting the 2 acres would rent half an acre to somebody else.
Oh, okay.
And that person, the half-acre person, was called a subsistence farming. I'm having a short. Sustenance farming. Sustenance farming.
There we go.
Sustenance farming. It's 10 o'clock. I've been awake for a long time.
Got it.
If it's wrong, it's
No,
wrong.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't it just
Substance.
No, I can't. I lost it. You took it.
I'm sorry.
I didn't even spell it right in the document. Subsistence.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Subsistence farming. Farming enough to stay alive.
Yeah.
Grew. And 45% of holdings were under 5 acres. I don't really understand this, but basically they were like, people who used to have a cow now had a pig, which I understand that that's a downgrade in size. But one man said his pig slept in his cabin because it's him that pays the rent, ain't it? The
What do
pigs
they-
don't give milk. Like, you either have a
Yeah.
pig or you don't have a pig.
Yeah. I mean, eventually the pig turns into bacon.
Yeah, but yeah.
Mm.
It's not bringing home bacon. It's already there.
Yeah. And then there's some pigs that find truffles.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But I don't think that's what's happening. I don't really
think so
understand it.
either.
But also, milk was kind of gone from the region, and some people would drink bull's milk, which was oats fermented in water. So they were ahead of their time on that, I guess.
That's bull's milk, huh?
Yeah, that's what they called it. I won't be calling it that.
No, I don't think so either.
So agricultural workers, people who worked farming for a wage,
Yeah.
were unemployed half the year, and subsistence farmers were growing. And so on an acre of potato ground, you could produce 6 tons of food. 6
Okay.
tons of potatoes, which could feed a family of 6 for a year. So if you had 1 acre of successfully growing potatoes, you
Yeah.
could keep a family of 6 alive.
Okay.
And the potato had good enough nutrition that they had good enough health. Like
Right,
they're hardy.
Yeah.
They were robust. People who visited would comment on their poor clothing, but also the strength of the people.
Huh.
And people kind of thought that the potato had made them stronger.
Okay.
So at this time, the Irish were literally an inch taller than Belgians. They were half an inch taller than the English. And on a dynamometer, which I think is that grip strength thing.
Yeah.
The Irish could lift 432 pounds compared to 403 in London and 339 in Belgium. So they are stronger
Yeah.
physically.
And it's either the bull water. What was it? Bull's milk.
Bull's milk.
Or the potatoes.
One
Hard
of
to
the
say.
two.
Yeah.
And by the 1830s, the potato already had some issues, unfortunately.
Uh-oh.
Regionally, a crop would fail every year, and up to 5 million people would be sent into starvation around that time. And by 1841, the census showed that the UK birth rate was falling, but the Irish, of which 70% were subsistence farmers or landless laborers, were still having 6 or 7 children.
Got it.
So that's tough financially.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you need an entire acre for
To
6
feed
people.
6, so
Yeah,
4
yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
By 1837, parts of Ireland were so poor already that people couldn't afford a second dress, family couldn't afford a second bed, babies were fainting from hunger, which that is tough.
Yeah, it's haunting.
The West is where the worst of it was. Places like Donegal, Kerry. I'm assuming it's not pronounced Mayo. I'm sorry for not looking it up. It is spelled Mayo. I'm as Irish as I'm anything other than American, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Galway. That's the worst. Those are the worst areas for the famine and the poverty. And by 1845, poverty was high enough that everywhere in England or in Ireland that people were sneaking into the National Cattle Show to get the half-eaten turnips discarded by the animals.
Oh, boy.
Some people would pawn their Sunday best on Mondays and get them back on Saturday night. Like they would pawn their
Yeah.
nice clothing, not
Yeah.
have it all week, get it back for church, pawn it again.
Wow.
An American visitor described the Irish poor as a hunger-armed assassin.
Wow.
So they're just scared of them and not
Yeah.
helping. And
They're
they were,
armed with hunger, you say.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, desperation is a scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like over 2 generations, they slowly but surely made them more and more desperate.
Yes, and more people.
And more people.
So there were now something called midnight legislators, groups like the Molly Maguires, the White Boys, and other societies that defended the interests of the farmer and the laborer. So I've actually really wanted to talk about the Molly Maguires because they move into America as well, but that
Okay.
is a whole other episode. But basically, they're like labor unions.
Got it.
And farmers with 50 to 100 acres who were either charging crazy rents or evicting their tenants could find their cattle cliffed, which means driven over the edge, his hunting dogs killed, or his horses burned in a fire.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah, they're not being casual about this.
No need to be subtle.
Subtlety is not in this story.
No.
Not in this story. In Galway, they dug up the body of a landlord that had evicted 108 families, and they put a gallows over his dead body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was also major conflict between the 80% Catholic population and the Protestant ruling class. The majority not really wanting to recognize
because of
the
the
legitimacy
Anglican
of the
Church.
legal system. Yes. There's no separation between church and state. The Irish are Catholic. The English are Protestant. It is not going to be good. And in 1843, the Devon Commission determined that the landholding system was the cause of the problems. So we're going to bounce back to Mr. Thomas Campbell Foster real quick,
Okay.
who went there to figure out what's up.
Yeah, sure.
He was only 32, and he was really not qualified and had no special knowledge of Ireland. And some people called it...
He just volunteered. He was like, I'll do it, boss. I'll get in
Kind
there."
of. People called it a publicity stunt, and compared to Edmund Spenser, who was an aspiring poet who visited in the 1580s, a lot of people compared him because he was a writer that went over, and in the 1580s, Edmund Spenser went over. He would write The Faerie Queen and the Book of Irish History, and those were very popular reads, and a lot of people got their knowledge about Ireland from those books. And he was unimpressed.
Got it.
He said there were not many towns, not many maps, not many fences, and if somebody asked an Irish farmer how much land he had, he would say a cow's grass, because that's how much a cow would need in one day.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is fine.
Yeah.
Fine way to communicate. And he said that the problem was that England hadn't anglicized, so English, not Americanized, but Englishized, UKized the natives, and the natives had Celticized the conquerors. So basically, we didn't take over, we took over, but they're making us more Irish rather than us making them more English.
Yeah.
Except for a small settlement around Dublin, nothing really resembled the English. He thought the solution was a reconquering, getting rid of all the bards and the storytellers, because that's how tradition is passed
Getting
on.
rid of history. Love that.
Seizing the land and transferring it to Protestant settlers. When an uprising was put down, Ulster, the county that had once been the most Celtic, became the most English. And in 1649, Oliver Cromwell showed up in Ireland with 8,000 soldiers on foot, 4,000 on horses.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, 400,000 out of 1 million were dead. And the British planters, they called them, the new Protestants that were going to change the ways, were coming in.
Well, that's some real evil shit right there.
Yeah. So in 1600, the population was 2% British. And by 1690, in less than 100 years, it was 27% British.
Yeah. Because America, we've had so many less years to do it, but we've done a lot of like atrocities and things. But I tend to forget that the Brits, pretty rough history in terms of.
They started it.
They taught us how.
They came over and they said, hey, new country, we're going to name you America. Here's how to be shitty.
Yeah.
And we said, thank you for that information.
Thank you for that. Now get out of here.
Fuck you guys.
Beat it, Dad.
Go home. I'm going to do it my own way, Dad.
Yeah.
But they're both white men, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just forget. At
it's
this
easy to
point,
forget.
it's just like, the accents are fun.
Well, because they have fun accents and they're smarter than us.
Oh, yeah.
Not like
us.
colonizing.
Not
I'm saying
us.
like watching.
The two of us.
If you watch Love Island UK, if you watch Love Island US,
sure.
they're smarter than us.
Yep.
They're not that smart.
Yeah.
But they're smarter than us. On the UK or Love Island USA, somebody pronounced compromise, compromise.
Yeah. Compromise.
They're smarter than us. So
a community promise, a compromise.
compromise. So in 1600, I already said that. In 1750, the English and the Scottish held 95% of the land and all of the power. So penal laws stopped Catholics from being able to publicly practice their religion, buy or inherit estates, own a horse, and lease land above a certain value. So some people left, some converted, and some became tenant farmers. And the language and the culture had to go into the peasants' homes, which were now in the which were now in the Protestant ascendancy. So basically, they had to go into hiding.
Uh-huh. And, yeah, do religion, but sneaky.
Sneaky stuff.
When, during the, like, exodus caused by the potato famine, did a lot of them move to the United States?
Yeah.
I was just, I don't know, have you ever read Angela's Ashes and Tis?
It's been I think I've read Angela's Ashes. If I did, it was in high school. It's been a very long time.
It was a very long time ago. But I was just wondering where that fit in the timeline, because it's...
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's why my mom's side is here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not 100%.
Yeah, yeah. But it was only a couple of generations ago, too. So,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. So by 1776, Jonathan Swift, the Irish cleric, was on his way, and Dublin was now a stone-built capital city built by the Protestants. From 1720 to 1770, the Irish per capita income had doubled, so they kind of good things were happening.
Okay.
And at this point, they were now discussing, instead of a reconquering, they hoped for a semi-autonomous Anglo-Irish state, together under the crown, but with their own legislature.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the increase in income was because they forced a monetary system on them as opposed to a bartering system?
They haven't done that yet.
Okay. I was just wondering, because that'd be a really
They made
PR way
more
of being like, look what we did.
Because we created money. No.
Right.
That's not what happened.
Yeah.
So the Irish landowning system was a lot like the English landowning system at first glance. There were 8,000 to 10,000 landowning families. Mm-hmm. Most were Protestant, and then there was a large group of tenant farmers, and then the landless laborers, the people who worked the farms but owned nothing themselves. But the Irish had their own peculiar parts of the system. Experts who would visit would say that it was due to the unproductive use of the land and the character of the landowning class. So again, we go back to that. 20 to 30% of the land was owned by absentee owners. So that is just true. They're just not there. It's a New York City apartment situation where that's where they keep their motorcycles or whatever. Yeah.
So they're profiting while a lot of people are starving to death eventually.
Yes. Resident landowners also like to show off their money rather than invest in agriculture. So there was almost 1 million acres of deer parks and gardens. And by the 1800s, the deforestation was so extreme that people didn't replant. So they're losing plant life. They're losing trees, which trees are good for everything.
Right.
And the power the Irish landowner held over their tenants was only rivaled by slave owners in the American South. People were whipped, caned. Some demanded the wives and daughters of their laborers be sent to their bed.
Whoa.
It was bad.
Yeah, that's real bad.
And the middlemen, people who subleased the land, were often known as the hardest drinkers in Ireland and spent all of their money on booze and hunting dogs. The bottom of the ladder was known as the cottier, who worked in exchange for a cabin and a potato plot, and the spalpeen, who survived on day work and rented a con acre, which was an even smaller plot of potato ground. And these were the people who kept the Irish heritage alive. So a few years later, with the French Wars, there was an uprising and upwards of 30,000 rebels and loyalists died, and London concluded that a semi-autonomous state was dangerous. So in 1801, Great Britain and Ireland joined. They raised the Union flag at the Market House, and the Irish Parliament building was turned into a bank.
Got it.
So in the 1830s and 40s, people would start arguing for commercial farming and thought that it might help control the population if people earned wages on a commercial farm and had to buy their food. So it wasn't as simple as just having a few hundred more potatoes. If they had to say it costs this much money to keep a person alive.
So they're turning an entire country into a company town.
Basically, that was the idea. There was about 15 to 25,000 people garrisoning there, and they thought that it might reduce the Irish poverty and violence as well. So Daniel O'Connell from Kerry would become a Catholic leader, and in the 1820s, in a campaign for Catholic emancipation, Catholics were finally won the right to sit in Parliament and to serve in the military, which had been promised to them 30 years earlier, and people started calling him the Liberator. People were very happy about Daniel O'Connell. So London tried to weaken his position, and they started the Education Act and a Poor Law. And at first, these sounded good. They were going to create schools and a welfare system of workhouses, workhouses are not great, but we'll get into that a lot later. But in the decade before this, the potato was getting smaller and weaker, and the phrase was, worse than we are, we cannot be. So that is the vibe before the blight. And I think that is something I didn't understand at all.
Yeah.
That's in 1843. That's 2 years before. Worse than we are, we cannot be.
Turns out, hold my beer. It's getting
beer.
worse.
Potato? What's smaller than a potato? Most things.
Most things.
Not most things. Most fruits? I don't know what I'm saying.
That's all right. But there are little potatoes.
Just tomatoes.
Tomatoes?
If I had to live on tomatoes, I'd die of heartburn. I'd just be dead.
Yeah, for sure.
If there was a tomato famine, I'd be fine.
Yes. But potatoes.
I guess famine, I'd never be fine.
No.
I like a potato.
I like a potato. That's good. It's in your heritage, apparently.
Oh, we ate a lot of potatoes.
Yeah.
Growing up, it was like, what form will our potatoes come in today? Like it was a lot of potatoes.
Yeah. You were talking about how they were losing trees, because like in my brain, pictures of Ireland, a lot of rolling grassy hills.
Yes.
Is that because they like turned it all into farmland and stuff and killed off all the trees?
It's not because they turned it into farmland. It's because a lot of them turned it into these weird hunting gardens. And then a lot of people, absentee landlords and such, just didn't replant.
I see.
So I'm sure there's a lot more information for that, but it's not because of farming.
Got
it's
it.
because of like negligence and aesthetics.
And when did we get golf?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I wonder if it was,
You want to blame golf for this? Because I'm
no,
on board.
well,
I'm on board.
I was wondering whether it's these this like ruling class of Protestants that was like, we need more leisure time, and I have all of these vast tracts of land.
I think they were still fox hunting then.
Ah.
I found out how much water it takes to have golf, and I said, golf's not that fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
Golf's not that. No one's ever had fun golfing. You've had fun on a golf cart.
Sure.
You've had fun.
You know what you could do?
Outside with your friends.
Yeah, you could do is
go
just
for a
have
walk.
golf cart
Go
tracks.
for a golf cart track.
Yeah, just have a little. You don't have to like keep the grass pristine for a golf track. You just
literally no
rip
one's
it.
had fun golfing.
No.
It's never happened.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, make me have fun golf. Not on the cart.
It'd be fun
Golf.
if next week somebody lines up outside of our house and starts hitting golf balls at us as to protest us because they love golf.
I would take that.
Yeah.
Criticism.
I haven't ever had fun golfing, but I'm terrible at it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can cut this part. I don't know how I am at golfing.
It's okay.
Done mini golf.
Yeah, miniature golf. Miniature golf, great. And that grass doesn't take a lot of water.
It's fake. Because it's fake.
You do have to make the
power the windmills.
The blue. Yeah, you got to power the windmills. You got to make the weird blue soup water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is
but
still
that
it feels like they're just
very
reusing that water.
clearly is not fresh water.
No, doesn't matter.
Oof, these bros with their golf and their AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then they also need server farms for their AI, which also takes a lot of water.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a lot of water. The bros are using a lot of water.
We're gonna have a water famine. Anyway.
When in drought. You know what I'm saying? Love you.
Love you. Wow.
Yeah.
That one's bold. Okay. So O'Connell blamed the union between the UK and Ireland for all of this sadness. And in 1843, his organization, the Liberators Repeal Association, was the most powerful political organization in Ireland.
Okay.
He was regularly turning out crowds of 100,000 or more. He is a charismatic fella. People are into it. Dublin Castle actually issued a ban on a rally of theirs that was upcoming because they were so popular. And he observed the ban because he wanted to avoid violence. And a few days later, the British took back their warships, sent them back from the castle. So then the Devon Commission was created, and they decided that the Irish landowning system would need to be reconstructed. A lot of people in power, again, felt like the answer was the modern English commercial farm, structured around a owner, a few large tenant farmers, and a proletariat of wage-earning laborers. And that would create more money from the soil than absentee farmers or farmers only owning 3 or 4 acres. Some people also would blame the lack of ambition or the fact that potatoes were easy to grow on the situation and the fact that there weren't enough crops. But in reality, they just needed the potatoes to stay alive.
Yeah.
So in the 1830s, a Scottish textile magnate came up with a new method, basically child abduction, where he would hire children, quote, almost naked off the streets and put them into a factory to be taught discipline and work ethic. Leaders believed that this new system would cause bad farmers to fall to the wayside and that there would be commercial development if people had to buy their own food. But again, they weren't sure how to do it, and Irish landowners had old land deeds and were not going to give up their few acres for a vague promise of the future.
So they were just like scooping up children and putting them into factories and
Basically.
being like, "Oh, use those nimble little fingers to do our factory work for
Basically,
you."
and they were homeless orphans, so they were like,
Yeah.
I guess. And like, this is like kind of a long, depressing part of the book, and it's not really about the famine, so I didn't include more of it. But they had to work till they were like 28 to be free. It was bad.
Yeah, that's real bad.
It's real bad. So all of this is happening. And then on September 9th in 1845, a guy named David Moore, the chief curator at the National Botanical Gardens in Dublin, said that the potato samples he examined from the new crop had, quote, only too convincing proof of the rapid progress this alarming disease is making.
Got it. So the potatoes getting smaller, they discovered at that point that it was a blight.
Called Phytophthora infestans.
Oh.
Phytophthora infestans. I'm
Sounds
never going
bad.
to say that again because I'm not good at it.
No, I think you did a great job.
Google it if you want to. The other
They're just
thing...
bad at taking in sunlight on a photovoltaic level.
I don't know the
Yeah, I don't know.
etymology of the word.
Yeah.
I did not study science.
I don't know no science.
I didn't study with books. I just did finger painting
Yeah.
in a basement.
Yeah.
And
Now
now
look
I-
at us, 6th grade book reports right here. Ready for you.
So the summer of 1845 leading up to the harvest was also very cold and very wet. And in 1816, that same thing had happened, and it would end in a lot of crop failure and starvation then. So they already know this weather's bad, and some people will continue to blame the weather, not the blight. They'll say the weather is making this worse. It's the weather's fault.
Got it. So we're finding we're finding reasons to not do anything about the blight every year up to this. So like
This is the first year of the blight.
Okay.
I'm saying in 1816
Sure.
the weather was also bad.
Got it. So but it is like slowing down any possible response to the bigger issue.
Maybe, but not really.
Okay.
It's compounding the problem.
Yeah.
And some people at first think it is the whole problem, but for like a week. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's, yeah. So in June of that summer, they would notice the smell and then fresh white spots on the leaves. The next day, the potatoes, their leaves would be black. And on the third day, the leaves would wilt. And on the fourth day, the tubers would be dead in the ground.
It's fast.
It's very fast.
It's very fast.
Cutting them open would result in this red-brown mucusy to come out. And the
also,
smell was the smell of decay.
Yeah. I don't know if have you ever smelled decomposing potatoes before?
Yeah, it smells
it is so
terrible.
bad.
It is
It's like dead
top
animal.
10 bad smell
Very bad.
I've ever come up with. Have you ever forgotten about potatoes in a cabinet and then you've seen them grow the roots?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
for
they're
sure.
very resilient,
Yeah.
those taters.
Yeah, but when they start rotting.
So this happened. People obviously panicked.
Yeah.
Women and children are spending their days trying to cut away the poisonous leaves and potatoes, but it did absolutely nothing. And some of the potatoes even turned bad in storage already, not in the ground.
Oh, that's yikes.
And no one had really seen anything like this. Some guessed that it was essentially inbreeding, like they had crossbred the same strand too many times. And some people thought maybe it was this intense rain because it had been 30 years since they had had such bad rain.
Yeah.
So in 1843, The Provincial Council of Flanders had tried to strengthen their potato crop by crossbreeding with a strain of American potato. But unfortunately, that was the same year that a new disease had appeared in the United States.
Uh-oh.
In 1843, it took out taters from Maryland to Massachusetts. And the next year, it spread to Canada. And by 1845, it moved through the European plains, and farmers in Holland, France, and Germany were affected. And if you had taken a drone in 1845 above Europe, you would see large black fields across the entire continent from the west to Normandy. So it's all over the place.
Yeah,
And by
that
August...
was probably pretty haunting, especially,
Yeah. All those drones just...
I meant the big black fields. You know,
Yeah.
you just look at it and you're like, that's not good.
Not great.
That is a blight. It's,
But
I wanted to say
there's no
delight,
planes
but-
yet, so
Oh, yeah.
they can't see it from that high.
Yeah, just the planes
But
on
it
the
is a
ground.
deblight.
It is a
A
deblight.
real deblight.
Real delightful.
That, what was the drought thing you said?
Oh, when in drought.
When in drought,
When in drought.
be delightful.
Exactly.
This is my episode.
I love you. We should
I
get more sleep.
We should. I love how you said it like it was under our control.
Yeah.
Like
No.
you said it like we should run when we next time we go to the store.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Pick up more sleep.
what if we got more sleep?
Just 2 to 4 hours more a night.
Yeah.
No big deal.
That'd be great.
You know it's gonna be fun
What's that?
when we finish recording this episode and our daughter wakes up.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, it's going to happen immediately.
Actually, it'll happen 5 minutes before it's over.
Yeah.
So that we can't finish.
Yeah.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
In 1843. Oh, I already said that part. So by August, it is spreading everywhere. The rainy weather is making it worse. By early September, major newspapers are publishing articles about it, and the papers started to worry about grain prices, and they were talking about possibly some charity from the government to prevent famine, maybe. So for over 100 years, the potato had kept up with European growth. And the population in Europe had gone from 140 million in 1750 to 266 million in 1850. And the potato had been a big part of that. And it had helped with the industrialization of Europe because it made 2 to 4 times the amount of calories than the same amount of grain. And it was easier and cheaper to make than bread. So it is very valuable to them.
Yeah.
But by August of 1845, some countries in Europe had lost up to 87% of the crop.
Wow.
Those that could afford it would import grain that summer, but they were listing I don't know what the second half of that sentence means. Those that could afford imported grain that summer, but they were listing any kind of surplus. Okay, I was going to say something else. Countries that could afford it would start importing grain that summer, but it's not going to do.
Yeah.
It's not going to do.
There's
what
not
it
enough
needs to.
grain to make up for something that was providing like 90% of the sustenance.
And at 2 to 4 the rate of the grain. Also, we're going to get into it later, but they don't know how to process grain. It's
Right,
not-
because it just was not part of their agricultural system.
They're not set up for it.
Got it.
So at first, what was being published is going to confuse people in the papers. A prominent professor published a letter in Brussels about how the true cause was a fungus of the Botrys genus. But then
Don't love
2
that
weeks
genus.
later, another letter from someone who lived near a smelting factory thought that he had made a connection that the closer the potato was to a chimney with copper smoke, the less likely the potato would be destroyed.
Okay, so they're like, actually, pollution's the answer.
One of them says fungus is the problem, and one
Yeah.
of them says pollution could help.
I see. Yeah.
Neither of these men had the details correct, but a month before the destruction of the main Irish crop, they had found the cause and the cure. But because of vanity and ambition, jealousy, and stubbornness, this information would not come out properly and not get to the right people with nearly enough time.
So wait, they knew how to deal with the blight.
Only
How soon?
so this guy writes about the copper smoke.
Uh-huh.
that's going to come in to play.
Oh, okay. All
but
right. Interesting.
It wasn't like he was like
Yeah.
a leading scientist or anything.
Are we the type of potato that they were growing? Are we still growing that potato?
I don't know, actually. I might know by the end.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
don't know now.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But it does seem. I wonder whether. You know how with the bananas it was like clipping upon clipping, like they're all clones of each other.
Yeah.
I wonder how, because the way you often will grow multiple potatoes is you cut a potato into like quarters and then let the eyes grow, and then you plant those, and then it makes more potatoes. So it is kind of like a cloney process.
So people in the beginning did theorize that they were all too closely bred.
Yeah.
But I'm about to tell you the 3 different camps of people
Here we go.
that
I'm ready.
have theories. So there's 3 camps. There's the botanists who felt that the cold, wet summer was the problem, that the potatoes had absorbed extra water, and that the cold water had stopped the plants from digesting it. The second camp, the degenerists, which was some botanists, some pamphleteers, and some Gisson-bitten boys. Don't really know what those are. Meant to Google it.
Yeah, well, not good.
And some, which were chemists, apparently. I don't know why they were called that, but they were chemists.
Okay.
They thought that the blight was biological corruption due to the repeated cultivation of the same stock.
Okay.
The third group, the fungalists, were the misfits for sure, and included a flamboyant Belgian botanist named Charles Morin, who dominated a lot of the conversation through September. So the very beginning.
It sounds like a real fun guy.
He's out. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill you.
You're doing great.
All you've done this episode is try to say the thing I'm about to say right before I say it.
No,
Or
I'm
one
so
of the
sorry.
most basic puns on the planet. And I might just go to sleep.
Okay, I'll rein it back.
I'm awake. Jean Montagna. Jean Montagna, an army surgeon, left the fungalists to avoid public judgment. He was on Team Fungalist for a minute, and then he said, "This is embarrassing."
Yeah.
So Reverend Miles Berkeley took over for the fungalists because Morin had a big temper tantrum and embarrassed the whole group.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people...
Too Belgian, too sassy. Get him out of
Yeah,
here.
get him out of there. A lot of people thought that the fungus was a byproduct of the actual cause, but it would take 16 years before the fungus origins were recognized. The name was created by a Frenchman, Anton de Bar, and the name Phytophthora infestius literally means plant destroyer. The spores settle on a plant, generate tubular filaments. Those tubes penetrate the tightly packed palisade cells near the surface of the leaf and invade the interior where the business of plant life is conducted, where nutrients and gases are processed into food, and from where waste, like even water vapors, leave. So fungus is doing it, but weather does play a fart. Weather plays a fart. Because wind spreads the spores and moisture fosters spore reproduction and helps the ability to move across the leaf and get into the surface. Moisture is also needed for the second mode because some are infected from spores washed off the leaves by rain and penetrate the soil to reach the tubers in the ground. So basically, the wind and the rain are making this 1,000 times worse.
Got it. And if it's fungal based, it kind of makes sense that some of the crops that were stored could have been infected as
Exactly. So the copper, the guy who brought up the copper smoke, the copper was not a bad idea, but it would take 2 generations for the botanist to learn that the copper solution would need to be applied directly to the leaves, not to bathe the potato in it.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to continue to talk
So
about
they were putting it on the potato, like they would harvest the potato and then cover it in this copper
yeah,
stuff.
and it was too late.
Ah.
So over the summer, the focus would stay on the weather because it was very cold and wet. It was very easy to see and recognize. And occasionally there would be a report from Europe about their blights, but then they would kind of focus back again on this weather. But by early September, accounts of the disease were appearing in the news, but included reasons why readers shouldn't worry. And there was a lot of other news that was overshadowing it in Ireland. There had been a murder of a magistrate, and O'Connell and a newspaper commissioner were having a loud public fight about beauty.
A fight about beauty, you say?
It was very important to them at the time. People were starting to get anxious, and the Home Secretary, Sir James Graham, was hopeful but not concerned. But on September 25th, an official at the provincial bank said the failure was greatly exaggerated. And on the 28th, the constabulary told the government an even larger potato plot was about to be planted. Some officials at the end of September were hoping it wouldn't be that big of a dip. The Catholic newspaper, the Freeman's Journal, was pessimistic, publishing that reports are discouraging, but still other papers said Ireland was better off than most of Europe, and that they were having a wet harvest season, but Ireland would have a dry, sunny September. But by October, there were more heavy rains, and the main potato crop was about to be taken out of the ground. So they're about to harvest the big haul, the haul that keeps them alive,
keeps them all alive
for the year. 50 years from now, people would talk about October 1845 across Europe and continue to discuss it in places like Boston and San Francisco, like they knew about October 1845. There was a dense fog, the odor of decay, the terrible stillness, the shock and terror. Irish men, in my opinion, some people who are the most emotionally repressed on the planet,
stoic,
were weeping openly as half-ruined potatoes were dug from the ground. Some men got in fistfights, others sprinkled holy water on them or buried religious medallions in the ground, but God was not listening. Within a few days, even potatoes that looked healthy when they initially were harvested were rotting, and stored potatoes were affected as well, and famine felt imminent. This whole thing would cause a big wrinkle in a 30 years long argument over what was called the Corn Laws in 1815, when they passed tariffs on foreign grains, so wheat and oats. The tariffs were good for landowners, but bad for workers who couldn't afford the grain. In 1842, the laws had been amended because the British labor force needed to have access to cheap food, and in 1845, the Anti-Corn Law League demanded full repeal of the law. All of this led to political unrest. The Protestants blamed the Catholics, vice versa, and Daniel O'Connell, a.k.a. the Liberator, blamed the Anglo-Irish Union and had a rally with a banner that said, "England has given us ignorance and bigotry, starvation and rags." At that rally, some well-off farmers were dragged from bed and attacked by armed banditti in Limerick, Ireland. So they're mad.
Yeah.
The laborers are mad.
They're pretty mad.
They're mad. They're hungry. They're mad.
Yeah. Things are only going to get worse from here, it seems.
Yeah. At this time, the Prime Minister of England was a guy named Robert Peel. He was a well-off son of a textile industrialist. He had gone to Oxford. He had organized a model relief program during a crop failure in 1816, and he had created the Bobbies, a.k.a. the Metropolitan Police, the first modern police force in the world. He dressed like a dapper shopkeeper, and people often accused him of stealing ideas and changing his mind about big things like the gold standard and the Catholic emancipation.
Okay.
Kind of big things for the Prime Minister to be flip-floppy about.
Yeah. You gotta have an opinion, my guy.
Yeah. At first, he had been a supporter of Anglo-Ireland. People called him the Orange Peel because orange was the color of Protestant Ireland. So in October, he met with 3 prominent scientists.
Okay.
So one thought a chemical treatment could solve it, and Peel felt pretty optimistic about that. And that doctor started experimenting the very next day.
Okay.
But things were worsening, and Peel was really trying to find spots to be optimistic. So these 3 scientists, this 3-member commission, was called the Potato Triumvirate.
Oh, the potato triumvirate.
The Potato Triumvirate. At first, the Times would speak very highly of the Triumvirate, but they would live to regret that.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Lindley, one of the scientists, was a leading scientist of meteorological theory.
Oh.
I literally can't say words anymore.
No, it's okay. These are some tough words.
I just feel, God. Should we get more sleep?
We should. We got to remember to pick up some more sleep when we go to the store.
So he was a meteorology guy.
Sure.
Not a potato guy.
No.
And then the Irish member of the committee, Dr. Robert Kane, was he was a diversity hire because he was the Irish one.
Oh, okay.
They're all still white. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He was apparently the, quote, token Irish on many committees with the English. So
Okay.
I don't know if he can be trusted. So the crop had actually started out bigger in 1845, but they were dying so quickly. One man had buried 60 barrels in the ground, thinking he was ready for the year, and thought he had 5 months supply, 60 barrels. And in a few weeks, the edible potatoes he had left could fill 1 barrel.
Oh no.
So it is bad.
That's dire.
So the triumvirate, they went out on tour, baby. They went to 6 counties, and things are bad.
Yeah.
They had to travel around to find out.
But they're just walking around and
Things
being
are
like,
bad.
we're going to sort this out, everybody. We're doing great.
We got it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So in a low estimate, half of the crop was going to be lost.
Ooh.
And that didn't account for the 1/8 of the crop that you needed to seed for the following year.
Oh.
So even worse, 3/8 are going to be left.
How much were they exporting potatoes? Like
I
before?
think so. I don't think it was one of their big exports.
Yeah,
they were mostly the export that is the bigger issue is the beef. They're exporting the beef.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was just kind of wondering, like, how much of it was actually the direct food supply for the entire.
I think it's mostly food supply.
Yeah.
It's not really being exported. That's
Got it.
not the issue.
Well, yeah, but then it means that because they can't make up for the losses by just not exporting as much because it's all kind of going
Right.
to
It
people.
doesn't. It's not doing. And all the subsistence farmers and 3-acre and 4-acre farmers
Yeah.
aren't exporting it anyway.
Right.
So people were suggesting things like paying the Irish for every fish they caught, or maybe giving them curry powder to warm up their tummies and make the hunger more tolerable.
Oh, sure.
And by the end of October, Playfair, one of the chemists, urged the UK to look for experts in the areas of Spain, Portugal, and Italy because they didn't have any issues yet. But at the same time, a significant portion of the grain in Ireland was going to London. So the commission ordered new potato storage guidelines. But these guidelines, they're dropping pamphlets saying if you start storing your potatoes this way, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But the method that they suggested was incredibly labor intensive. It was like digging and then you put it there and then you spray them and then you cover them with this special dirt and then you dig again. It was really crazy. It was very labor intensive. They're only telling people via pamphlet and a lot of the laborers were illiterate.
Oh, sure.
And also,
It wasn't the thing that fixed this.
it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It was very labor intensive. It didn't work. It involved a lot of trenches and sod and spreading, and it just simply did not work.
Triumvirate, more like Yumvirate.
That one's the episode title, and I hate it. Potato Yumvirate.
Yeah.
Another pamphlet suggested grating the potatoes with either a potato grater that would cost a few weeks' wages to buy, or by making your own grater by punching tin. And so grating the
As in,
potato,
making them not mashed potatoes, but shaved potatoes.
basically. So you shave it, then you wash the pulp, strain it, dry it fully, grate that again,
Oh.
and then use that pulp to griddle for make griddle cakes or starch it use the starch for soups.
And were they trying to get people to use the clearly rotting potatoes for this?
This was supposed to be, I believe, the ones that were instead of storing because they're still good right now, but they could go bad.
Right.
This method was an incredible amount of labor for very little turnout. So basically all this committee did was create an agreement between the UK and Ireland that they didn't know what they were talking about and to cover the country in pamphlets.
Whoever the
Useless.
pamphlet printer was did rather well.
They did great. They're the only people who prospered. So on November 3rd, there was a meeting in Dublin with Daniel O'Connor, the Labour guy, Lord Cloncurry, John O'Neill, and John Erbin, the Lord Mayor of Dublin, and some other dignitaries.
I hate dignitaries in this story because they sound like the worst.
So the mayor read the relief plan that had been prepared by the government at the Capitol, and there were 6 main points. A ban on food exports, a ban on grain used for alcohol, a suspension of food tariffs, the establishment of a network of government food depots, and a national program of public works to put food money to the peasantry. So like the GWA.
Yeah, the Works Progress. The
WPA.
But, yeah.
So Peel had turned down closing the ports to food exports for a few weeks, but he would come up with his own intense plan, including abolishing the corn laws, the tariffs on grain completely. He was tying the Irish need to the politics of the corn laws, which repealing those laws would help the UK. So he's trying to get something by giving something.
I see.
So officials in the UK are going to create the Irish Relief Commission. One of the first members of the Irish Relief Commission was a guy named Sir Randolph Isham Ruth, who was born in Dorset, raised in Newfoundland, and had fought at Waterloo. He was a British senior officer, and he had written the book Observations on the Commiserate Field Service and Home Defense, and was known as a great thinker and kept track of many minute details.
Okay.
His one fault was sometimes costing the government cash, which almost stopped him from being chosen for the Relief Committee, but they were hoping that he could make relief look a little better to the rest of the government because he was a good talker and they liked him. They also appointed a guy named Edward Lucas, a prominent Irish landlord, but Peel, the prime minister, felt that, quote, the Irish landlords and other ratepayers are the parties, both legally and morally responsible for affording the relief to the destitute poor. So a big part of this is that the English believe that the moneyed class, the wealthy, are responsible for their poor.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to be really just an important part of this.
Okay.
Because the Irish wealthy don't believe that.
Ah.
And that's gonna
it's gonna be a problem.
not gonna work
Because then who's gonna help out the poor?
Yeah. So part of the reason they appointed Lucas was they wanted him there to tell his peers that they had to help pay for this. Also, they appointed Colonel Harry Jones, who was an engineer and the chairman of the Irish Board of Works, Colonel Duncan MacGregor, who was the Inspector General of the Irish Constabulary, Sir James Dumbrin, which was the Inspector General of the Coast Guard, John Pitt Kennedy, which was an author of a very popular pamphlet, and Dr. Robert Kane, who had been in the triumvirate formerly known as Potato.
Oh.
Mainly added, again for diversity, because he was Catholic. And Edward Twistleton was the director of the Irish poor law system.
Mr. Twistleton.
Which was surprising because the poor law workhouses hadn't paid in during the last crop failures. So he runs the workhouses. They had not helped the last times this had happened.
Okay.
Twistleton sucks.
Okay.
He's
great.
not going to be
He's
helpful.
got a stupid name and I hate him.
Ever.
Okay.
The Brits were not super into the concept of public relief in general, if that surprises you at all.
Not particularly, but it is a bummer.
And so it was very slow coming to Ireland. 2.3 of the 8.1 million in Ireland were chronically poor. And the same amount of roughly 2.3 more million people would be broke for part of the year. So there's a lot of poor people in Ireland.
Well, you build your whole system on... It feels like a factory for creating poor people.
Yeah, if you eat one thing and the thing goes away, it's bad.
Yeah. But the whole, like, the subsistence farming underneath, tenant farming underneath, all of this other stuff is, like, the only reason it is able to exist is by having a massive pile of poor people.
Yes. And the English also hated that the need for relief was matched with a very high birth rate of the poor. And that also happened in the UK, but they claimed that Irish poverty was so bad that it was draining the Irish morally as well, and that they had no pride. George Nichols had worked with the poor in the UK, but it was never as bad as Ireland. But he was brought over to create a small, inexpensive, easily abused aid system when a Protestant Archbishop, Richard Whately, had come up with a plan that was far too expensive. So the Irish poor law system had enough workhouses for 100,000 beds across the country for 8.1 million people.
Yeah.
And unlike England, there was no, quote, right to relief. So in England, you have a right to help by being a person. That does not exist in Ireland. And they had the Poor Law Union, so every landowner with property over 4 acres had to contribute to the poor rate to feed and clothe the inmates of the workhouses. It was like the English model in that it cared less about caring for people and more about shaming them into changing their behavior. So you could go to a workhouse, but it was essentially like enrolling yourself into prison. because you would get 3 hots and a bed or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But 3 hots and a cot.
Yeah.
But it was awful, and
Yeah.
it was admitting failure.
And the entire time there was probably somebody there like just yelling insults at you.
You stink.
Yeah.
You smell like potatoes.
Oh.
Rotten potatoes.
Oh no, that is not a good smell.
No. At some point in the 18th century, poverty had gone from a thing that happened to people to a thing that made the person morally void. Quote, the relief applicant who managed to remain unintimidated by the forbidding architecture of the workhouse, the high walls, the bleak grassless courtyard, the narrow windows like gun slits, had to endure an admission process that included procedures disgusting to the Celtic mind, including a fearful ordeal by water.
What?
Not sure what that is.
You spray him down like Andy Dufresne? You know?
I'm assuming. I have
like
no
that.
idea. I don't know how they would create that much water pressure then.
Yeah.
He was also required to bring his family into the workhouse with him, to dress in penal-like garb, so in prison clothes,
Yep.
to wear shoes that pointed straight ahead rather than left and right, and to engage in
Ouch.
heavy manual labor. By September of 1845, the frightful reputation of the Irish workhouse was having the desired effect. The occupancy rate in the 118 completed workhouses that were being built was under 50%. Also, the more people the landowner evicted, the higher his poor tax. But that part didn't work out because the army and the constabulary had to basically invade some counties to make these people pay their poor tax. So they're not paying that at all.
Got it.
They didn't feel like they needed to change them to rehabilitate the crop failure because they never had before, and they didn't give outside help like handing out food because that job was for the soup kitchen. So a big part of this is that the workhouses existed already and could have been an arm in the system of relief, but Twistleton's like, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, but what if
they
you
made the workhouses
did
really suck?
do that? And he's like, we don't do that.
We don't do that.
We just let you enroll in prison, and there's no, I can't possibly ask the people that work here to hand out soup instead.
That's
It's
right.
ridiculous.
Could do that.
So the Relief Commission met for the first time in late November, and they had very little data at that point, but they felt like that they could run out of food in January or as late as April. So that's pretty insanely different. And they knew that they would have to create a network of local relief because the workhouses were going to. Without the data, it was incredibly hard to create a plan and also hard to figure out who needed help the most. In Ireland, they would also have several fever epidemics following the crop failure.
Oh, okay.
Not going to be great.
No.
They didn't feel like they were going to be able to mount this by 1846 because of what they needed to import and organize. So they're like, we're not even going to be able to help people in the spring.
Got it.
The basic plan was going to be to import food, have local committees purchase the imports and sell them at cost, and then have a public works projects to create a system for peasants to earn a cash wage. Peel then had a large London financial house buy $100,000 worth of American maize, corn, which should feed 1 million people for 40 days. But he wanted to use it more as a price control on the market. So if food got too expensive, they could throw that in and bring prices back down,
Okay.
which we know all about that from J. Cool's.
Yeah. But it also like meant that again, they had the opportunity to put food in that would save people's lives, and they were like, "Oh, just in case we need
Slow
to
down. Yeah. Maize was a good choice to not affect the market because the Irish usually didn't eat it, so it wasn't going to hurt the private market. It also had a short grow time and a high yield. And for some reason, Victorian people felt that corn would help character development and that lower foods like potato had slowed character development. Some
Because they were-
people,
hire the hair closer to God.
I
That kind of thing?
guess, some people even thought the potato hurt the Irish character. The Economist called it, quote, food for the contented slave, not the hardy and the brave. That's messed up.
Just because you rhymed doesn't mean it's good
No.
advice.
You should take your own advice. The English also liked corn because it was something that could grow in their wet climate, and that they would have to buy it, so it would encourage peasant farmers to get salaried work on a commercial farm, which would help create a consumer society, which is what they wanted, and a money economy. Stop with the potatoes.
So they're using They're using this crisis to like just ram the concept
completely
down.
change
down
the
throat.
system of the country.
Cool.
The downside of Peel's plan, besides the fact that it's not really going to work, is that it was relying on the Irish landed classes, so the Irish middle class, wealthy, whatever you want to call them at the time. Because in the UK, the gentry in a district, the wealthy people in a district, would fund jobs and food plans for the local poor. But that was not how it worked in Ireland. They felt that the, quote, indifference and coldness of many of the Irish landlords was going to be the problem. But some could blame the plantation system because the landlords didn't believe they owned their country. Basically, they had already scraped it back from the Protestants.
Yeah.
Most of them, a lot of them are subleasing, and they're like, why is it my problem? I don't actually even own this.
Still bad.
It's all bad. His plan also required commercial infrastructure to buy the food, ship it, and they would need a milling industry to process it. You can't just eat corn off the hardened cob. Like, it's not how it works.
No.
So they didn't have a commercial village. They did not have a commercial village provision shop distribution system. So there was not already government or privately owned shops that had this clear-cut, start from the top delivery system.
Got it.
So they couldn't just be like, "Oh, we're gonna add this on."
Yeah. So it just wasn't as easy as just bringing over grains and corn.
No, you can just show up at the dock and throw the bags out and say, "Here you go." The more Roth thought about it, the more he wanted to involve the poorhouses for distribution. So he went back to Twistleton.
Oh, Twistleton.
Ruth had supported an idea that the workhouses could establish poor, rate-funded soup kitchens with outdoor relief, but Graham and Twistleton thought it was absurd if there were too many chronic poor in Ireland and that they would never come back from that. They were like, we can't do this now. We'll never be able to stop, essentially.
Yeah, but that's constantly a refrain about when talking about like welfare and stuff like that, where they're just like, oh, we couldn't possibly help these people that need help
It's
desperately.
the whole Getty, if I get my one grandkid back, you're going to kidnap my other grandkids.
When like I feel like none of it actually is proved out in like what actually happened.
Well, it's like how Elon Musk was like, I'll fix poverty if you show me how I could fix it. And everyone's like, here's how you do it. And he's like, no, I'm good.
No, thanks.
I'd have to do it again.
Yeah.
Just have to be a trillionaire again.
Ugh.
So on November 22nd, in the Morning Chronicle, George John Russell, who was a prominent member of a British family, wrote that he didn't believe in any interference with food, not even corn. It was a political ploy because he had hoped to become prime minister someday. And people called it the Edinburgh Letter. This letter did not help Peel at all because they were already having a pretty hard time. The group that called themselves the Protectionists were claiming that the crop failure was fake news. And they had down that this was out there because they wanted to repeal the tariffs on food. The Duke of Cambridge, Queen Victoria's uncle, had said that the famine was silly, that Ireland was a comfortable situation compared to what the papers were saying, and that, quote, seaweed and grass could be a very wholesome and nutritious food.
That's not true.
Irishmen can live on anything. It's a real let them eat grass situation.
Yeah.
Some Protestants thought that free trade was a law of God and a visitation on Providence. So on December 5th, the Peel government fell, and on the 18th, Lord John agreed to form a government. He had to withdraw the offer on the 19th because of divisions in the Whig Party, and Peel became the prime minister once again on the 20th. So within 2 weeks, not the prime minister, back to prime minister. It's all very silly. People are dying.
Yeah.
This farce ended with Russell embarrassed, Peel vindicated, the British public in a state of vertigo, and the Irish crisis all but forgotten, except in the speeches of the protectionist and evangelical free traders. Reading the skimpy press coverage from Ireland, the average British would not have guessed that she was sliding towards the abyss.
Ooh, spooky.
But
she was on her way.
She's sliding.
Yeah, she's ready.
She gone, girl.
One boat trip right to the abyss, please.
Yeah. Check, please. To the abyss. I think that's where we're going to end it.
Okay, at the abyss?
At the abyss.
Sure.
Apologies that this was not sillier.
I did I threw a lot of puns in there. Did that help?
Nah. Let us know. What do you think?
Ambition accomplished?
Ambition accomplished. I'm gonna divorce you. I don't know what I'm saying.
Please don't divorce me.
I'm not gonna do either.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a saga.
Yeah.
We're going to stick to it.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to get more sleep somehow.
Right.
I'm going to be sillier.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with these potato facts.
Sure. I mean, we did start this whole thing with a
dog.
decapitated woman.
I knew that was
Yeah.
but that's just what it is.
That's just what it is. I think it set the tone.
Just what it is.
Yeah.
Just what it is. So, thank you guys for listening. This will probably be a 4-parter. If you ever have a topic you want us to cover, hit us up, Eat the Rich Pod. If you have any feedback, we love that too. If you have a friend you want to tell about the podcast, that'd be great. Welcome new listeners. We've got a few more new listeners. If all the listeners that we acquired in the past 2 months would leave a review, it would literally change our lives forever. So think about that. What if you did?
Just something to think about.
Just something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I'm excited for our daughter to wake up.
Yeah, we're gonna go to sleep because she'll be up in 5 minutes.
Probably just once. You know, in that moment where you hit the pillow and you're like,
Finally.
just when she's gonna be like,
That's when she's gonna be like, "Hey,
drive.
come hang out and drive."
Yeah. So, talk to you next. I don't know how to end this. Can you wrap this one up?
We'll catch you guys on the flippity floppity, and next time we'll be on toppity.
I regret asking you to do that. That's the end.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and a big thanks to Carsey Blanton for the theme music. You can follow the podcast everywhere at Yeet the Rich Pod. You can email us your suggestions for future episodes at yeettherichpod@gmail.com. You can follow me at TheFunnyWalsh, and you can follow Danny at DMoss315. See you next week.